Hey guys, this is Ray, owner of DRP Motorsports, and today I thought I'd talk about the 24 S650 Mustang once again. Talk in particular about ours. It's been a little while since we've done a video on this car. Haven't done nothing since our last videos. Just kind of been waiting around on the performance industry to see what it would offer, and that's one of the things we discussed in today's video. For you guys who haven't tuned in before, let me go ahead and tell you we got a 24 Mustang GT 10-speed automatic transmission, Gen 4 Coyote. Um, Overall, I like the car. I like how it looks. I like the changes on the front end and the back end. I really like it. I like the looks of the interior. If you don't already know, it's gone to all digital screens in here. And I really like the all digital screens except for one thing, and that is your climate controls. It's all done by the digital screens, and I would prefer to have a manual knob or adjustment for that. But otherwise, I really like it. Real quick, let me tell you what we've done to it. We have installed some K&N air filters that replace the factory paper element filters. You know, the 24 Mustang Gen 4 has a dual throttle body setup on it, dual intake, and we simply swapped out the factory filters here with these better flowing K&N air filter units. Don't really know if it helps a lot. We did have the car on the chassis dyno bone. We dynoed it bone stock, and it made some pretty good numbers, over 400 wheel horsepower, just as it comes from Ford. And we did a Corsa catback exhaust on it, and that improved the sound greatly. You can see the tips right there. That's all you can see from the top side. But this car comes from the factory with Ford's active exhaust, and we put a Corsa kit on it that was for an 18 through 23 model that doesn't have active exhaust, and we just tied up the valve actuators out of the way up under the car, and it works fine. You just got one sound level, and that's loud all the time, but that's what we wanted. Um, but going back to the dyno results, putting the Corsa cap back on the car give us about 10, best I remember, about between 10 and 15 more wheel horsepower, and that was a plus. And then we threw on these K&N air filters, and we dynoed it again, and we didn't pick up any power. So really, the jury's out on whether these K&N filters help much at all. But putting the Corsa cap back on it definitely picked up a good 10 wheel horsepower, if I remember correctly, maybe a little bit more. But that's where we're at. I think what I'll do is take the car for a spin, put the camera in the car, and let you see how it performs on the road, and also talk about where things are at in the performance industry and where I think things may be going. Okay, guys, we are buckled up in our 24 Mustang, so let's go for a little ride, and I'll talk about how I like this car in particular, and anyway, my thoughts of where we're at in the tuning industry for these S650 Mustangs and where I think things are going and how quickly we might get there. So let's go for a ride. Hey guys, let's hit the highway with the car. Give you my thoughts on it. This particular car. To mention before, this is a 24 Mustang, S650 Mustang, fourth generation 5-liter Coyote, 10R80 transmission. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but we've got a Corsa cat back on the car, and it does increase the sound a good little bit, and I like how it sounds. This particular Corsa has their double X pipe on it, can get a double H pipe, and we've got the K&N filters on it. Performance-wise from the factory, these cars definitely have more top-end horsepower than the previous generation. I think that has everything to do with the new intake setup on it that uses a dual throttle body, dual intake setup. I think Ford did that for emission purposes with the carbon traps. They knew if they had a single intake with a carbon trap, that would be too restricted. But if they went with a dual setup, they could keep the carbon traps and still have plenty of airflow for top end power. So I think that's why they did that. Where we're at in in the performance industry, what you can do for your S650 24 Plus Mustang at this time, Coyote wise, you can do like we did. We can throw a cat back on the car. There's several out there now that are available specifically for the 24 Plus. Although the one we put on this car is for a 18 through 23, there are 24 specific kits now. You can throw in a set of K&N air filters in the factory air boxes. You can put long tube headers on these cars. They do use a specific long tube header for the 24s. My understanding that the earlier previous generation Coyote headers will not fit a 24. I was talking with Cooks the other day, and they said that the cylinder head on one side of the engine is different than the previous generation Coyote. So the old headers for the 15s through 23s will not bolt up to a 24 according to Cooks. I haven't tried it yet, but that's what they tell me. But you can't put headers on. You can pick up a little bit of power with headers, but the thing about headers is you may or you may not get a check engine light for catalytic converter efficiency, even if you go with a set that's got catalytic converters, which is what you should do, by the way. But as far as long tube headers go, they work even better if you can couple that with a custom tune. And custom tuning is not here yet. Uh, we talked about catback. We talked about headers. We've talked about air filters. You can put, I think you can get a ported stock intake for these cars where they've taken a, stock intake for a 410 Coyote that's got the dual throttle body setup, and you can get those ported. Perhaps that'll pick up a little bit of power. I don't know. Haven't tried one. You could bolt on a nitrous kit if you wanted to try that. In my opinion, I think that's risky without custom tuning as well. So, as far as basic bolt-on, that's about it if you want to stay naturally aspirated. Now, forced induction, there is an option out there, and that is the Whipple supercharger. Whipple, which we are a dealer for Whipple, offers a supercharger kit for these 24 Mustangs. And you can get it with their optional 3-year warranty on the stage 1 setup, and you can bolt on, with the Whipple kits, talking about stage 1 and stage 2 kits, you can bolt on 250, 300 more horsepower on these cars versus what they have from the factory, and that's huge. But it's also a big investment, and that's not going to be for everybody. You're talking $9,000 or more, just to get the kit and get it installed. As far as the other forced induction options, ProCharger is making a kit. VMP is already showed us their dual throttle body Odin setup that they're going to offer for these cars. Helion hasn't said anything that I'm aware of yet, but I'm sure they will in time. But all these other manufacturers outside of Whipple with forced induction kits are waiting for custom tuning. Whipple is the only one at this point in time that has worked out an agreement with Ford, and Ford has given them access to the ECMs on these cars so that an approved tune can be installed to use with the Whipple supercharger setup and everything work as it should. The other guys, they don't have that agreement that I'm aware of yet, and I think they're waiting around to see where custom tuning is at. So, where are we at on custom tuning? Well, it's not here yet. I do know that companies that make tuning software and tuning devices are working at it feverishly. I can speak specifically for HP Tuners, which we deal their tuning products with the RTD3 tuners, and I use their software for custom tune Mustangs and F-150s and GT500s, GT350s. That's what the software we use. HP Tuners is working on it, and I know that they have they've made some strides, but they're not there yet. These new MG1 PCMs in these new Mustangs have a lot of security and in place, and that security was put there to keep aftermarket tuners like us out. And it's all because of government regulations and the pressures that's being put on the original equipment manufacturers to keep those guidelines in place. Um, do I think we'll get custom tuning? Yes, I think it's going to come, but it's going to take some time, and I don't know exactly what it's going to take, to have it done. There's kind of a two. My understanding of the security on these new PCMs is it's kind of a two front deal. First of all, you got to be able to get in there to be able to program them, and second of all, you got to make the PCM happy with the program that you've just put in there. So basically, what I understand where HB Tuners is at, they can flash or program the new PCM that's in these 24 Mustangs, but they can only program in a stock Ford calibration. Any other changes made to the tune or the calibration, and you flash it in there, the PCM will not boot back up. It goes into a protection mode because it senses an aftermarket calibration. So they've got to get past that. And what it's going to take to get past that, I don't know. I don't know. Perhaps it may take actually cracking open the ECM itself physically and making some physical modifications to get around that, or it may simply take cracking the security code on it, which will not be easy because all these new PCMs that have been made by all the car manufacturers in the past couple of years have implemented this new technology, and it's made to be so that you cannot reverse engineer it and figure out how to get in. I'm not saying that it's impossible. Nothing is impossible with anything man-made, but it won't be easy. And so unless companies like HB Tuners, can reverse engineer it with some very high-tech equipment or make a physical modification, or they get handed the keys by Ford, it won't, the custom tuning is not going to happen anytime soon. I'm hopeful that it will happen very soon. I mean, obviously, my livelihood is kind of dependent on that, and I know you guys that just bought these cars want to hear some positive news on that aspect. And the positive news I can tell you right now is they are actively working on it. And as long as they're working on it, then that means it's coming sooner or later. But having said all that, if you're in the market for a new Mustang, these new S650 Mustangs, the 24 models, are a great car. I love how they look, like I mentioned before. I love how they perform from the factory. This 10R80 that they got in them now, the programming on them from the factory is on point. They shift where they should. They're not harsh. They do the job. I really love the transmission strategy on them now. And like I said, these cars have great top end power from the factory. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and punch it right here on a little straight stretch and let you see how it does. I mean, it just goes. So there's no complaints, in the performance department for a, near factory stock car. Like I said, we've just put on a cat back and some air filters on this car thus far, and I really enjoy this car. It's a great car, handles good, sounds good with the Corsa cat back, and obviously it performs very well from the factory. But if you're looking more, just hang tight, guys. I think it's right around the bend. I'm going to say optimistic. I'm sure you guys probably will too. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in the weeks and the months to come. But that's where we're at right now. As always, guys, thank you for following along on our channel. We'll put out more videos on the 24 Mustangs as things come to light. As always, God bless each and every one of you, and we will see you again soon.